Yours truly, Dan Adams, a.k.a. the hip-hop conservative, host of the Political Heat, Sunday evenings, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live on War Radio. I just have one subject, and I'm going to let Sean Hannity, Kevin Jackson, and this crazy-ass liberal take it from here. Till next time, God bless. Peace.
Here to discuss and debate all of this is Kevin Jackson, Executive Director of the Black Sphere, author of Sexy Brilliance, Other Political Lies, and The Big Black Lie. He's also a syndicated radio host. Dr. Kathleen London, Doctors for America, National Physicians Alliance. Welcome, both of you.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Dr. London, let's start with you. You're a medical doctor, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when you hear that tape, it is clearly a violation of law, isn't it?
Well, no, because it's actually a very heavily edited tape. The original on the first one that was done was over 2 hours, so these are very misleading. They are very heavily edited, and so no, it's nothing is very clear at all.
You can say that. You can say
that are associated with any
Dr. London. Dr. London. Let me bring you back to reality here. You know what? None of the issues in question here. If you want to talk about what they're going to have for salad or the type of wine they're going to order, yeah, you can run the whole tape. But nothing was taken out of context, spliced, or edited in terms of the discussion.
I don't agree. I'm going to disagree
so they weren't
here.
selling baby
Gatter says twice in the edited video that Planned Parenthood does not financially gain from fetal tissue. We are not in it for the money.
But they're
money is not an important thing.
In that first video, they talked about selling, Kevin. They talked about selling lungs and intact hearts and intact livers, and they talked about crushing other parts of the body. They'll crush the upper part. They'll crush the bottom part to preserve the organs that they were about to sell.
Yeah, not a care in the world for the mother, or the proposed mother of the fetus. But more importantly, I didn't realize there was so much money in the mongrel races, as the founder of Planned Parenthood talks about. Look, this is pure and simple. These guys are funded by taxpayer dollars. If all they cared about
they are not.
was, they're not.
Been illegal for a number of years.
Half $1 billion they get just doesn't quite cover it, huh?
Excuse me. Well, let me correct the record again. They get nearly 500 million.
There's $0
Excuse me.
for
I'm not
abortion.
finished. They get $500 billion taxpayer dollars a year from the taxpayers.
Towards abortion, zero.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
okay. Wait, no, stop for a second. This is what they say. Oh, but we're not using it for abortion. We're using it for other services. Okay, but that money
does the majority of screening of low-income women. That is correct.
Okay. So then you and all your liberal friends can fund that if you want, and you can pay for all the abortions that are legal if you want. But what they're doing here is they're taking taxpayer dollars that allows them to then focus their other resources in areas like abortion. So what you're saying is factually inaccurate. You obviously have gotten all your little talking points because all you're doing is regurgitating every single thing that the Planned Parenthood leader said last week. You obviously can't think on your own. Is there nothing barbaric in your mind or grotesque about people talking about, crushing one part of a baby's body and not the other part and getting intact livers and lungs and hearts for transplant that they're going to sell? It's that they're going to sell. These are children that are otherwise, going to be born perfectly healthy kids. None of this you find grotesque? None of it, doctor? None?
Hey, Sean, she would if it was a baby seal.
We do that with brain dead people as well. Tissue donation is done all the time in this country. We do it all the time.
We're not talking about
when you do a liver transplant.
We're not talking about somebody that dies in a car accident. We're talking about an intact baby.
No, we're talking about a fetus.
Can I
finish?
finish?
Not a baby. Let's get our terminology straight.
Oh, my
really?
gosh.
I guess she skipped her first trimester. Hey, listen, what you're talking about when you say somebody's brain dead, they've made a decision to give their body away. That child hasn't made a decision. You people can parse this all you want. You didn't skip the act of conception, and neither did anybody else that's living on Earth or who died from this Earth. None of us did. You want to parse it and talk about first trimester, second trimester, it's a fetus, it's a zygote. That's your hiding behind your rationale for killing babies. And even when you started the conversation, the very first thing you talked about was, it's misinterpreted. No, it wasn't. They're getting rid of baby parts, selling them, giving them away, whatever.
For profit.
You don't even want to recognize it.
And then negotiating the price.
There is no profit here. The only profit going on is the profit you're making right now from that.
All right, let me ask a series of questions here. So your argument is
made up. You guys are making up a network of lies here. You're
really heartless.
You know what
I can't even believe.
Attack on Planned
All right,
Parenthood.
I'm talking now. It's my turn. All right, here's a question for you, London. I got a question for you. Very simple question. So your argument is the government has no right to tell a woman what she can and cannot do with the body. So let's say a woman is now 1 day away from her due date. Maybe and then she says, you know what, I want an abortion. Does the government have the right to step in then and tell a woman?
We've already made the decision that once a fetus can survive outside the womb on its own, that is the limit. And
these are second term, but this is the point.
We survive outside the womb.
Then you have just made my point for me. Thank you very much, because these are second term abortions, and we have the ability to keep
five. Cannot survive
excuse
outside the womb.
me, 5 and 6 months. That's absolutely false.
It cannot survive.
How did you even get a medical license? It's unreal.
Okay, how many weeks do you think second trimester goes to? Excuse me. My degree at Yale teach me that.
Okay.
Second trimester goes to 28 weeks, Sherlock.
Okay, well, hey, let me ask you this.
Very angry doctor.
If you skipped your second trimester, would you be talking on this phone line? You people are just incredible.
My people. Who's my people? Who are you lumping me in with?
I'm talking about
you liberal Planned Parenthood people.
You act as if a child has this formation.
Let's just crush them. We'll crush this part, but not the other part, so we can preserve the lungs and hearts and liver and sell them.
It's not even a human being to them because they think of it in trimesters. I ask her a very simple question. We know when life begins. She knows when life begins. All she's trying to do
is Jewish. The life begins. Halacha is very simple. When the head is cut out during delivery. So you're saying that my Jewish belief doesn't count? Only your Christian one?
Well, wait a minute.
So
then based on what you just based on what you just said, then a woman should be able to have an abortion before that moment happens, shouldn't they?
Jews believe in abortion, absolutely.
Checkmate. Oh, so you think a woman should be able to have an abortion just before the baby comes out, as long as she doesn't crown? Before the head comes out.
An abortion, it's between her and her rabbi every case.
I didn't ask you if it's her between. I'm saying.
I'm not a rabbi.
So Kathleen, you know what that is? That's called infanticide. That's called murder. And that's how radical you are in your views. You have no heart. You show no heart about crushing parts of babies inside of women's wombs. You showed no problem with selling, even though it's obvious they're selling baby parts, livers. Excuse me. They're selling them. They're selling livers, hearts, and lungs. Excuse me. They're selling all of these things. You show no heart about that, and then you casually say, yeah, it's not a life until the second it's born. That means you can have an abortion beforehand, and you wouldn't call that infanticide.
Sean,
when did you become so distant and callous? When did you lose your heart and soul? Because that sounds gruesome to me. It sounds grotesque to me at a level. I have friends that are pro-choice, identify pro-choice. The thought of what you just said will repulse them.
Make the decision. You asked me when the life begins in Judaism is when the head is halfway out during delivery. Or
the head is halfway out. So before that, you can abort it.
And the Jews got it wrong because that's nonsense. Life begins at conception. But here's the better question. When you keep talking about they're recovering their costs, that's what a grocery store does. That's what everybody does. Some people recover their costs at a profit. Some people recover their costs at cost. Just because you put that on there doesn't mean that they're not selling the product.
Oh, wait a minute. But Kevin, you're forgetting the main line. She wants to buy a Lamborghini, this woman. The woman wants to sell it at a good price so she can get a Lamborghini.
Well, that's the cost of a baby, I guess.
I bet London doesn't think that's a big deal either, does she?
This is like so taken out of context. It was such an edited piece. The fact that you believe it and you can't hear that it's all chopped up is just so amazing and so disproportionate.
Yeah.
You know what? All you are,
people like you, who are
this is pot calling. All you are is basically regurgitating. You're like a robot for Planned Parenthood, and all you do is regurgitate their
GOP. It's really fascinating.
I'm not even the
GOP.
I'm not even a Republican.
With the GOP.
I'm a conservative, and I excoriate Republicans every day. You need to listen to my program more.
No, what she doesn't want to admit is what she's already said as a doctor. Supposedly that's supposed to give her some kind of credibility, is she knows when conception begins. She knows when the life begins. She also knows Planned Parenthood's stance on it. She's trying to use Judaism as some sort of a protection of what we all know. There is no there's nobody that can refute when a child is...
Let me tell you something.
When a person becomes a person.
I have so many Jewish friends, and not one of them would not argue to me that I know of, my best friends in life, that in fact, a baby isn't a baby is if the head isn't half born. None of them would make that argument.
That is the actual halacha. How many of your Jewish friends have actually gone to a synagogue other than on the high holidays?
They go there all the time. As a matter of fact, I've been to. As a matter of fact, excuse me, London. I've been there with them. I've gone with them. I've been to their homes. I've celebrated holidays with them.
That is the actual halacha. I'm happy to show it to you.
Okay, but I'm saying there's a certain, you can hide behind whatever you want to hide behind, but a baby that just before half the head is born is just as viable as after the half a head is born. And that's what you're missing, and that's where your cold-hearted callousness comes in.
Regardless, your little video meaningless. And there's in no way, shape, or form does Planned Parenthood profit off of this. What a lot of nonsense.
Yes, they do. They're gonna remember. She's gonna get a Lamborghini after this. She wants a good price for a Lamborghini. All right, we got to end this debate, this debacle of a discussion.